Today we're going to take a look at my key steps that I carry out getting my landscape gardens prepped for summer. Number one then is to start cutting back those herbaceous perennials. I like to get started on this as soon as the snow has melted. I'm coming to you from the Northern Great Plains Zone 4, by the way. And since I have large areas to cover and can be frequently interrupted from weather events, this whole process can take me several weeks. On herbaceous perennials, all the tissue above ground is dead tissue, so you can cut those stems all the way to the ground. Depending on the project, and if we have extended nice weather in the fall, I'll sometimes cut back some of my perennials to get a head start. Just make sure you've had a couple of hard killing frosts if you're going to do this in the fall. But mostly now, I like to wait until late winter, just before spring. If you want a little more information on cutting back perennials, I'm going to put a couple links in the description box where you can go and get more detail. And then I also look at closer specific varieties when I'm doing this. Step number 2 is to take care of light shrub pruning as I work along. Our first shrub example here is a red balloon viburnum. It's got a few branches stretching over into the lawn area a little further than I like, so we'll get them taken care of now. And once spring breaks, here's a look at the nice white flowers we're going to enjoy on our viburnum, followed by green berries which transition into this bright red, well, red balloon clusters by late summer. And then by late fall, a nice dark plum fall color as well. If you're interested in looking at a few more viburnums, I'll link to an earlier video in the description where I looked at several additional varieties. I like to limit myself to smaller twigs in this step as I can mix them in with the fallen leaves from trees and perennial tops we're cutting back. This accumulated debris then can be used for compost. When I'm up against larger projects like rejuvenation, I'll usually schedule that as a separate project. But this is also a great time of year to take care of that type of pruning when they're dormant. Rejuvenation is also called renewal pruning, but it's just a whole other category of waste that I need to separate from my public recycling center. Next up, let's take a look at one of our smaller shrubs that's going to need some attention. Here we've got a double plate gold spirea, nice golden yellow color, beautiful pinkish flowers. These really draw in the bumblebees, but this one now it's just getting a lot of dead wood in there. Now you can go in with the hand pruners, take your time, clip through, take some hand strength. The Hedge shears, there's just too many dead branches. It doesn't cut them when they get brittle like that. So what I do typically on something like this, I'll get a Loppers. We'll go through and just randomly cut. Now there's a lot of spirea varieties to pick from in a wide range of flower and leaf colors in this compact size, staying below that 3 feet level. So they're a great choice to consider when you need a smaller shrub with good hardiness. On average, it seems like it's about every 5 to 7 years when you may need to do a full cutback like this if that dead wood starts to build up. But I've seen many examples over the years where no pruning has been done on spireas like this. Even after 10 years, they still look pretty darn good. Usually though, every year I do like to do a light shearing before each spring, taking off only about 6 to 8 inches. And one more shrub example before we move on. This is buffalo juniper, and you really have to stay on top of junipers once they reach that border or edging of your bed. This has become an annual pruning project for me now. I'm always amazed at how quickly the ground cover junipers can grow and cover up an area, especially if it's mulch or soil below the stems. They'll root in by a self-propagation process called layering. And right next to us here are some bearded iris leaves. I don't worry about getting every last one of them since they lay so close to the ground. And it won't be long before we'll have new leaves emerging from these bearded iris rhizomes, and then we'll look forward to and enjoy these beautiful dark purple flowers. And I ended up getting a new rake. I'm going to see if I like this one or not, called a Forestry rake. Good reinforcement right here, a stiff tine. One of the first things I noticed when I got it is just a lot larger handle, a little bit longer too compared to the one that I've been using for years. I can't tell you how long I've had this rake. And you can see it's held together here, well, by a nail bent there. Yeah, we're gonna see if I like this or not. Yeah, I like the feel of this. Step number 3 is what I refer to as doing a rough rake. The main goal here is just to get the majority of the dead plant material we're cutting back, as well as loosening many of the leaves that may have been matted down from the winter snow. 99% of the time, these springtime rakes are what I'm using in almost all projects. If you order your rake to be delivered, there may be some quick assembly required when you receive it. You can find styles of rakes like this in 4 or 5 different widths. Yeah, I tell you what, it's going to be hard to wreck this rake. This has some solid materials. In this raking step in the various mulch and rock beds, you don't have to be perfect here, because in just a little bit we're going to break out that backpack blower, and that's where we put the finishing touches on our prep work, removing the smaller, lighter plant debris. Once we get that blown onto the lawn areas, it'll eventually be picked up with the vacuum system on our mower. But before we strap on that blower, I like to do one more step first. Number 4 is running a rake over the lawn. One of my best mowers that I use, made by Walker Manufacturing out of Colorado, and this is a high quality commercial grade 0-turn mower with an excellent cut and vacuum system. For spring work, I attached the rake to the front that you see here, and you'll notice how easy it is to maneuver in and out of tight areas. Those tines, they'll spring back and forth as you move forward through your turf grass, lifting up that matted grass and loosening leaves. If you've got thatch problems, you may want to consider a separate machine. Often it's called a power rake or dethatcher. That machine's going to have vertical blades that tear into the root system, but boy, oh boy, be ready. You'll be shocked by how much grass you can remove and have to collect in the process. The rake I'm using here is not going to be much help for correcting heavy thatch problems, but it does do an excellent job getting our lawn refreshed and ready for summer. If you've got a small garden tractor, you can also purchase pull-behind rakes like you see here. They do a nice job making the lawn work a quick and easy project. And now that our perennials and shrubs are all cut back and we've done our raking, it's time for step number 5, where we're going to break out that backpack blower and really put the finishing touches on our beds. I'm using one of the more powerful steel blowers here, and they're well worth the investment if you've got a lot of area to cover. I suggest at least the BR600 model or higher for best results. There are smaller, less powerful blowers out there, and they can still be effective, but having that higher air volume with the bigger motors is really a game changer if you want a cleaner and faster result. I mostly use the small blowers when I'm just removing grass clippings and light debris from sidewalks and driveways, as they're lighter and a little bit quieter. You can see now here why I like to use that turf rake before doing the blowing process. We can now do a nice job cleaning up those edges and blowing any remaining leaves and dead grass into the area ready for collection. And number 6 is to vacuum up the remaining leaves and plant debris. Hopefully before the wind comes up, and man, that can happen pretty quickly around here. The dead leaves and grass we're collecting here has become one of my favorite things to use for mulching for my vegetable garden. Since there's no live tissue, the piles that I make when dumping, they're not going to heat up like fresh grass clippings do. Those piles, they stay dry and usable for months. And now we've made it to our final step, fertilizing the lawn. For me, there's usually about a 4-week pause or break for this step. You could fertilize your application directly after that collection or vacuum stage, but my preference is to wait until the grasses begin to grow and green up a little bit. I like to have at least 1 or 2 mowings under my belt before I apply. For me then, this is usually about mid to end of May time period. My thoughts then, if you apply too early and you get some heavy rains before the grass starts growing, you're likely to lose some of the fertilizer from leaching. You'll often see recommendations of 4 applications per year, but I usually only fertilize once or twice each season. Fertilizing is a whole other topic, so we'll leave it at that for now. So yeah, a lot of work goes into gardens like these, and they don't look like much right now, but boy, this is what we look forward to each season. Beautiful perennials, shrubs, and trees all growing in combination, full of color, lush green growth. Yeah, this is what makes it all worthwhile. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon, next video.